Hello, good morning, students. Today I'll be teaching you the topic on joining processes in your course of Elements of Mechanical Engineering. This covers the module 4 content. It's one of the topic in module 4. You have two more topics. I'll just name it. That is, one is the engineering materials. Then comes the belt drives and gear drives. This I will be teaching you in the later sessions. Okay, guys. So let me try to understand what is joining process. So you have two components, two parts. You need to join it. So what is the technique used? Suppose you have two paper sheets to be joined. You use some gum and other things, and you have to paste it to join the two pieces. Wood, you can use Fevicol and things like that. In metallic applications, they use what we call it as soldering, brazing, and welding. These are permanent joining process. There are temporary joining process also, like using fasteners like bolts and nuts. So today our session is focused on soldering, brazing, and welding. Let us move to the next slide. So what is a welding? Let us start with welding. Welding is a permanent joining process. Very strong joints are formed. It is defined as the metallurgical joining of two metal pieces together to produce essentially a single piece of metal. That's very, very important. You can observe this one. It's a metallurgical joining process. The process is metallurgical because there is a interaction of materials together there when you heat the metal and fuse it, okay, to make a single piece of metal. What are the types of welding broadly classified as? One is pressure welding, another is fusion welding. Look at the left hand side of the slide. It's a pressure welding process. Here parts are heated to a plastic state. Plastic state means very high temperature, where it will convert not just to liquid state, quite spongy type, where you will have red hot temperature, and then fused together by applying external pressure. You can see the two plates being passed through the rollers, two kinds of rollers, and there is enough pressure going to get the joining done. Most of the butt welds, resistant welds comes under the category of pressure welding, widely used in sheet metal applications. You can see this is a forge welding. Okay, you red hot and then join it. That's another kind of welding widely used in some of the applications. Then comes the fusion welding. Fusion welding, you will have two metal parts. You can see part A and part B here, and you have a electric source which is going to create a circuit. One is connected to different polarities, okay, workpiece and the electrode. So when you strike an arc, it melts the material localized fashion, the vicinity of the junction, and then allowed the material to get solidified. We will get the strong joint of two metal parts. We call it as fusion welding. Parts are heated to molten state and allowed to solidify. This is known as fusion welding. You can see the schematic of it. You have to practice the diagrams. Diagrams are crucial in your Elements of Mechanical Engineering course. Try to write whatever you know with the help of neat sketches, which can communicate what you know about the working principle or the machine or about the activity. Now comes another kinds of welding also used is gas welding. It's also used for cutting materials also. For removing materials, we call it a gas cutting. Here an oxyacetylene flame is used. Okay, oxygen and acetylene tanks you can see here. Flame is used to melt the material, the localized junction, and you are going to allow it to solidify. These two welding, gas welding and arc welding, comes under the category of fusion welding, and forge welding, resistance welding, they come under the category of pressure welding. So this was very important question. You can see the welding operator is doing the welding on a metallic eye joint. He is a welding operator. You can see the accessories he's wearing. It's an electrode gun, it's like an incision sticks, okay. When he touches the metallic surface, arc is formed. He is also wearing goggles, apron, and other safety what you call the accessories for him to weld safely. Next, come back to arc welding. What are the advantages of welding? So why you should do welding? Welding is a permanent joining process to join two materials, two components permanently. Here the joint strength obtained will be extremely strong. Metal with different compositions can be welded. Okay, so this can be even portable machines can be used, and you can go to the site and weld it. And it's also not that expensive compared to other kinds of welding. Okay, that's very, very important. You can also use pillar metal to also as an addition material to fill the gap and try to get a better joint. Now you can see the arc welding setup here. You can see a metallic component. You have a electrode gun with an electrode. Okay, this is the system, apparatus used. You can see the electrode holder, electrode. This is the tongue. Okay, one connected to one polarity. In the transformer, the arc welding machine is connected to another polarity. So that is your gun electrode is connected to positive terminal and workpiece to the negative terminal, vice versa. And you can get the welding done. Okay, you can see the different arrangements here. So welding transformer is basically used to step up and step down the voltages from the main supply. Okay, basically you need a high current here, so you need to reduce the voltage. So obviously you'll be using step down transformer. So here you will have a electrode. So when you strike an arc, allow the electrode to come close contact with the workpiece, a small gap of around 2 to 3 mm, an arc is struck. Okay, that is a very high temperature area. That is almost 5,000 6,000 degrees Celsius. It can melt easily the materials that to be connected. And once it cuts an arc, you are going to with your skill, you are going to move it on the joint, along the joint. You can see this. You can all of you observe here. Here is a T joint, a vertical component, a horizontal component, metallic parts. You can see the bead of the weld. The electrode is moved from this end to this end. You can see this kind of welding joint being formed. The leg of the weld, we call it as. Okay, so thereby you will get the joint form. We can do in the other side also. Okay, so that you get a strong joint. There is also called a flux coating. In the electrode, the electrode is coated with a flux. Flux is very, very important to prevent all the contamination and oxidation during the weld, because oxidation, presence of oxygen going to contaminate, and probably you will be getting a weak joint at the point of contact. So thereby you will be getting weak welding done. So in order to minimize that, flux coating over the electrode will produce something called an inert gaseous field, wherein it prevents the reaction, chemical reaction. Thereby you will be getting the strong joint at the portion of the welding. Okay, so these are different kinds of welding: TIG welding and MIG welding, or types of arc welding, widely seen in different applications. So in order to see where all this welding is used, so in your day-to-day applications, it is widely used in building construction, bridge construction, even in shipbuilding applications, pressure vessels like boilers. You have seen the boilers being fabricated using welding. Pipes, penstock, large pipes you would have seen in turbine applications. A lot of areas, automobile, aerospace, construction application, you can see the welding is widely used. Now let us move to the next content, the TIG and MIG welding. This is a kind of welding you will be seeing in some of the sophisticated applications. TIG welding, you can see tungsten inert gas welding. It's also called gas tungsten arc welding. Another one is metal inert gas welding. The diagrams are very crucial to explain the working principle. You can see there is a electrode gun. There is two metal parts to be joined. There's a filler rod. Okay, the circuit is formed between two components, electrode and the workpiece, and you are going to strike an arc, and it's going to melt at the junction, localized junction, and you can control the movement of the electrode, and you can get a strong joint. Okay, it consists of what we call it as the following components. It's a tungsten electrode, which is non-consumable electrode. This I will be speaking in the next session. Non-consumable electrode, it will not get consumed. It will just assist in forming the arc. The filler material gets consumed. Okay, there is a area, the hoses, which consists of the area for protecting gas, that is called shielding gas. Inert gas, we call it as argon or helium, can be used to prevent the oxidation effects, what you saw in as a flux in case of consumable electrodes in arc welding. So you can pass these gases, thereby you can prevent the reaction with the atmospheric oxygen. And you have a polarity, you have a ground point here, and you have a shielding gas obviously formed, so it will prevent all the chemical reaction, and you get a strong joint that is being formed at the junction. Basically you want to be talking about these inert gases, the reason for using the inert gases for shielding or protecting the weld from atmospheric contamination. Okay, next, in this particular welding you can use AC or DC polarity for welding. AC is preferred for welding magnesium, aluminum and their alloys. So we want to use soft materials, non-ferrous materials for welding. Using TIG, we can prefer AC welding. If you want welding high temperature, strong materials like steels, nickel, copper alloys, you can go for DC welding. This is very, very important. Two kinds of welding. Next, MIG welding. So all of you are familiar, another kind of welding, just now I spoke about. MIG welding consists of the same setup as the TIG welding, but you have instead of tungsten electrode, you have a metal electrode that is going to continuously fed at the point of joint, and this gets consumed, and thereby the joints gets filled and you will get a strong welded joint. So this is what you call it as metal inert gas welding or gas metal arc welding. Here again, the electrode material will be of the same chemical composition as that of the base material. It's having a very small diameter of around 2 to 2.5 mm, and it is fed with the help of a roller. Continuously, this roller is going to feed this in the form of a reel. There will be wire that is going to fed continuously, thereby the welding is continuously done. Okay, so MIG makes use of, again in this application also, shielding gas like argon or helium to prevent atmospheric contamination of the molten weld pool. So in case if you don't use this shielding gas here, there is all chances of the contamination happening and porosity and other welding defects will occur, and thereby you get a weak joint which is not desirable. Again, MIG makes use of DC power source, wherein electrode is connected to, you can see electrode is connected to positive pole of the power source, that is the transformer you saw in the previous slide. Okay, and the power resulting in faster melting of the electrode. When you connect this electrode to the positive pole, result in faster melting of the electrode, greater weld penetration. It can go to the depth. That means you need not have that. You will not be able to see that porosity and other things at the bottom of this joint. So a very strong joint is formed. The penetration will be very good from top to the depth, and the speed of welding will also increase. So this is all about a very important question asked in examination, the sketch and explanation of TIG and MIG welding. The applications, again, as I said, in arc welding, it starts from even various industries like automobile industries, okay, sheet metal works, aerospace applications, and other industries. You see all these kinds of welding appropriately used. Next, come back to the arc welding machine. Just now I told the effect of AC welding and DC welding on the polarities and the depth of penetration and the better welding you get, okay, from the DC welding. Okay, next comes the this is another technique of preparing the specimen for welding. So when you want to do the welding, it's not just you go there and you take your welding machine and simply weld that component and join it. You need to follow some steps, procedure. Okay, so their steps include the cleaning process. Before you weld, you need to clean the surfaces to be welded. Okay, edge preparation to be done to get the better joints, and you need to clamp it using proper clamping sources, and you need to wear some safety equipment as a welder, the welding operator. The safety equipments includes the apron, the goggles, the shoes, okay, gloves, things like that. Just I shown that in the previous slide, in the very first slide. Okay, the safety is very paramount in welding. Then comes the initial weld you need to do so that you get a first joint formed. Then you will be continuously doing the welding and thereby you get a strong joint. You can see some of the diagrams here consisting of V joint, square groove joint, single U groove. There is a edge preparation done here. See, before you weld these two parts, it's beveling done, and you will be moving the welding electrode over this joint, and you get a strong joint. You need to imagine this diagram. This is a 2D diagram. It will have a 3D, picture, and so along that Z direction, you are going to weld it, and you get a strong joint. Then comes another kind of welding, as I said, oxyacetylene welding. It's also called gas welding. So gas welding, you might have noticed in your day-to-day field, people using gas welding to join components in fabrication applications, okay, sheet metal works, and so many things. Okay, here the gases widely used is acetylene, oxygen, hydrogen, even propane and butane. Mixture of oxygen and acetylene is called oxyacetylene welding process. If at all you use oxygen and hydrogen, it's called oxyhydrogen welding technique. The temperature obtained during the welding process will be anywhere around 3000 to 4000 degrees Celsius. It's a very high temperature. It can melt any kinds of metals, and thereby you get a strong welding joint. There are two large cylinders you can notice on the slide. One is an oxygen cylinder, so noted, you can denote it in the black, color. And another is an oxygen cylinder. Pressure regulators are there here, gas flow pressure regulators. They're going to control the flow of gases to the welding torch. This center assembly is called welding torch. You have a mixing chamber where the oxygen and acetylene will be allowed to flow through the hoses. This is the hoses, the pipes, we call it as tubes, wherein this is allowed to pass through, gets mixed in proper proportion, and it is going to come out as a oxyacetylene flame. This flame, when it is, comes in contact with the joint, is going to melt the material to be joined, and you get a very, and allow that component to solidify, the area to solidify, thereby you can get the strong joint. This is a very widely used, welding technique from long time. Okay, even it is used for cutting two parts that has been already welded. We call that technique as gas cutting. If you weld it, it is called gas welding. So what are the applications? You can notice here again, it is used to weld both ferrous and non-ferrous materials, like ferrous materials, which we'll discuss in engineering methods, iron, components, steels, and things like that. Non-ferrous include aluminum, copper, zinc, and other alloys of these materials. Then it is again finds application in almost all the industries, ranging from automotive industries, aerospace industries, manufacturing industries, okay, and other construction applications also. So the flames produced, let us try to know the different kinds of flames. We'll have three types of flames: neutral flame, and the oxidizing flame and carburizing flame. Okay, the neutral flame is commonly used for welding mild steel, cast iron, aluminium, copper, and can be also used for metal cutting applications. The temperature of the neutral flame will be around 3000 to 60 degrees Celsius. Okay, that's very, very important. Then comes oxidizing flame. The content of oxygen is very high in case of oxidizing flame. The name itself indicates its temperature comes out to be around, at the end of the tip of the torch, around 3500 degrees Celsius. So it's basically used to weld copper alloys, zinc metals, and other kinds of welded steels. Then comes reducing flame. In the reducing flame, the oxygen content is reduced. Thereby we call it as carburizing or reducing flame. It's rich in acetylene content. So when it is rich in acetylene content, we call it as reducing flame. You can see the third particular, flame. Okay, it's called a reducing flame with a blue envelope. It's a very high blue envelope. The tip. It is again widely used to weld different materials like monel metal, copper and nickel alloys, very strong metals in aerospace application. The temperature will be again around 3000 degrees Celsius. Okay, so especially in oxidizing flame, you notice a very high temperature. This is all about the oxyacetylene welding. So one should be aware of this diagram. In oxyacetylene welding, you are supposed to write this 2D diagram: regulators, oxygen, acetylene, hoses, welding torch, and filler rod. The previous important questions you can expect is TIG welding and MIG welding, and of course the principle of arc welding. You can write either of this diagram and save few points on this. This is basically about the types of welding, fusion welding and pressure welding. So let us move on to the next session after oxyacetylene welding. You can see some of the assignments that are of interest in this topic which we discussed just now. Arc welding advantages, oxyacetylene welding advantages and limitations, welding defects that is been noticed after welding. It requires a skilled person to do welding. With imperfections during welding leads to a lot of defects. Merits and demerits of welding, you can learn about it, and also different applications of welding. Of course, I have discussed this different applications of welding. You can also add on to it and try to answer these questions, which will help you to understand the slides and the sessions better. Now coming back to next session of after welding, another kind of permanent joining process widely seen is soldering. So most of the electronic students, electronic applications, you see soldering being done, the printed circuit boards. Okay, so simple components like this, you can see the soldering being done at a mass scale in various applications, whether it is computer terminals, the hardware, the mobile phones, and other electronic instruments. You see this soldering being joined, used to join two components. You can see the typical joining being done. Soldering iron is used. Okay, to heat it, the local copper solder will be used, copper alloys, and then you are going to get the joint, the point to join the electronic systems. And coming back to the soldering principle, it is used to join dissimilar or similar metals by means of a filler metal whose temperature is below 450 degrees Celsius. The filler metal is called a solder. It's very, very important. We will be calling that filler metal as a solder that is used to fill the two materials and join, and two materials get joined. Okay. Again, you will use a flux to prevent the atmospheric contamination. The fluxes include zinc chloride and different kinds of phosphates, and thereby you will be getting the soldering done. Okay. So what are the advantages of soldering? It is a low temperature process. As you saw in the previous slides, in welding, the temperatures were around 3,500 degrees Celsius. Here the temperatures will be around around 450, even less than 450 degrees Celsius, below 450 degrees Celsius. So temperatures will be pretty low. It can even join dissimilar metals. Okay, even thin parts can be joined. Widely used in electronic components like printed circuit boards, wood cans, even to join metal containers, thin sheet metal containers, and so on and so forth. So what are the types of solders? This is a solder. This is the solder. This is an alloy. Okay, this you can see it's a alloy of lead and tin. This will have a melting point of around 150 to 190 degrees Celsius. This is a typical soldering alloy. Okay, and a very small amount of antimony is also added to the solder. They find applications in high temperature and where there is heavy loads, where the joint is not subjected to heavy loads and high speeds. Okay, there's another solder called hard solder, a kind of soldering alloy with high lead content and a little bit of silver content also, widely used in different kinds of application. The melting point of hard solder ranges from 300 to 600 degrees Celsius. Of course, just said in the earlier slide that the temperatures of the solders will be within less than 450 degrees Celsius. So typical soldering setup you can see. Okay, it's a soldering iron with a copper coated tip. This is called soldering iron. This have a copper coated tip. You can see the copper coated tip. Tool used in method is called which is heated electrically. This particular area is being heated electrically, or you can use even small gaseous element to as a source of heat. And the surface of the workpiece to be joined or cleaned thoroughly before you start doing the soldering. Suitable flux is applied before you do the soldering. The flux is applied to prevent all the atmospheric contamination and very weak joint to be formed. Then soldering iron is heated to a suitable temperature with a little solder is melted at the tip of the soldering iron. This is melted because this solder is an alloy of lead and tin. It gets melted quickly, called bit, and the molten solder flows into the joint. Here is a joint, so it flows into the joint. The joint, once it's formed, it's cleaned and to remove flux residue in order to prevent corrosion. After the solder cools, you will get a strong joint. You can see here. You can see the soldering wire. This consists of a lead and tin alloy. And this is a typical schematic representation of a solder. You can see here again there is a soldering iron here. There is a copper tip. This is a we call it as the solder. It's a solder is an alloy of lead and tin. So here is the copper pad. So it gets melted, and there is a printed circuit board moving, and you're going to do the soldering. And you have different kinds of soldering here: torch soldering and wave soldering. So as I said, the method of soldering, it starts with cleaning of joining process, then application of flux, zinc chloride and things like that, cleaning of the surfaces to be soldered, heating, and finally cleaning of the joint. So we have different kinds of soldering: soft soldering, hard soldering. So depending on the type of alloy, you will use the soft soldering. You have zinc chloride as a flux. In the hard solder, you will have alloy of copper, tin, and silver is used as a flux. Okay, this is the point of contact. The temperature is around 90 to 450 degrees Celsius, as taken at length in the previous slide. Soft soldering again is widely used in electronic systems. At the temperatures has to be carried out at higher temperatures, 450 degrees Celsius. Then soft soldering is used for joining generally small and intricate parts. Okay, then brazing and silver are forms of hard soldering. Another form of joining process I'll discuss is brazing. Okay, it again uses similar to the technique of soldering, but with an alloy of high melting temperature of around more than 450 degrees Celsius. In solder, we use a alloy of the flux of around the temperature of the melting temperature ranges within 450. In brazing, we'll use at least more than 450 degrees Celsius. We call it as filter. The alloy is called filter there. So brazing, let me talk about brazing. Brazing is a method of joining similar or dissimilar metals by means of a filler metal. You can see this filler metal. We call it a solder. Here it's a brazing filler material. Okay. So whose melting temperature is above 450 degrees Celsius. In soldering, it is below 450. Here it will be above 450. The filler metal used in brazing is called spelter, alloy of a non-ferrous material. Okay, we call it as spelter. This is spelter. There we call it a solder. Okay, that is a lead and tin alloy. Again, you use a flux here before you do the brazing. Okay, flux used is bearing performs its as usual function in soldering or welding, melts during preheating stage and spreads over the joint, wetting it and also protecting it from oxidation effects. Okay, so advantages of brazing, again the same technique as for soldering, but better joints can form. Much heat is not involved in the process, so low temperature distortion. Okay, dissimilar metals can be joined. Relatively expensive filler materials are used because of the spelter and other alloying constituents. Apart from that, the applications of brazing includes automobile, aerospace, various tool industries, pipe fitting industries, making of radiators, heat exchanger parts, electrical appliances, and parts of bicycle frames and rims can also be brazed. So this is a typical brazing procedure. When used here, apply flux at the joint, slowly heat up the area to be brazed. You can see the brazing torch. The brazing torch. Apply braze rod here, correct to the correct temperature, clean the oxidized joint and steel. So you get a better joint here. So that is typical brazing process. So you need to remember as a examination point of view types of brazing. So torch brazing, furnace brazing, dip brazing, vacuum brazing, and so on and so forth. There are different kinds of brazing used in the industries named after different technique: dip brazing, torch brazing, braze welding, induction brazing, and electron beam brazing. You can see the induction beam brazing done here. resistance brazing, just like similar to resistance welding, torch brazing, and as I said, for various applications. So just try to remember this. So before I, wind up for the particular session, so you again, just like I told you, some of the important questions you can expect in welding. You can expect these questions: advantages and disadvantages of soldering and brazing, difference between soldering and brazing. This is widely asked. Brazing and welding. Let me throw some light on it. As I just discussed, brazing uses a filler material called spelter, whereas soldering uses a filler material called solder. It's an alloy of lead and tin. In melting point of filler material in soldering is, as I just spoke about, it is less than 450 degrees centigrade. In case of brazing, it is quite high. It is almost crossing 450 degrees Celsius. So very strong joints are formed in brazing compared to soldering. Okay, brazed joints resist corrosion. It's very, very important. So corrosion effects are nullified in brazing joints compared to soldering joints, and also brazing joints are quite expensive compared to the soldering joint. Okay, so you can make a note. Of course, if you compare it to welding, welding is the strongest of all the joints. Its temperature is also extremely high. You have different forms of welding. Okay, high amount of flux is used. Apart from that, for bigger components, they go for welding for stronger joints. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can discuss with me. Okay, thank you very much, guys.